All right, let's get the latest on the Buckeyes. MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, one of the best sources for Ohio State football coverage. Of course, Tony Gerdeman from the ozone.net provides us with some incredible, insightful analysis on the Buckeyes year-round. Tony, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing, Mark?
Doing great. Would like to encourage everyone to support us on Patreon. Also, you can use the Amazon links below that you see in the description section to support the channel. Few news and notes regarding recruiting as we head toward 2020 after what was a very quality class in regards to player ranking in 2019, but not necessarily the numbers because of the size of the class.
Yeah, a relatively small class, smallest class at Ohio State in about a decade or so. They just didn't have a bunch of guys leaving, a bunch of seniors leaving. So I think they finished around 15th or so in the rankings, but were number 3 in terms of ranking per recruit. So yeah, they got the quality. They didn't necessarily get the quantity, but they got they couldn't just go and oversign. That's not what Ohio State does. The Big Ten won't allow it. So you get what you can. You really have to focus down, and because when you only have like 17, 16 spots, then you're really paring things down. So you're not casting a huge net and just trying to bring everybody in. You focus more. So that's what they did. And now they've heading into 2020 where they'll have a bigger class. They'll have more seniors departing after this season. I mean, last year they had 1 senior on defense, which gives you an idea of just how many non-seniors they had and how many seniors they didn't have. So, you lose a couple of starters on defense, early to the NFL, and now you've got to start to replace them through. And that won't be this coming recruiting class, but the 2019 class, we'll see what they can do. Really, though, there haven't been a lot of true freshmen doing things at Ohio State because the recruiting classes have been so good that there's talent in front of them, basically. So there's quite a bit of redshirting going on, which is another reason why there wasn't a lot of guys leaving last year.
As we look toward 2020, because of the small class in 2019 and because of what you've just mentioned, a lot of seniors will be leaving. Are there particular needs that we can already see? Maybe I'm putting you on the spot here in regards to positional needs for the next class, 2020.
I think the biggest needs will be offensive line and cornerback. Now, they closed well on the offensive line on signing day, got a couple of guys. They got a grad transfer from Rutgers and Jonah Jackson, so that will help. But cornerbacks, they did not sign any corners in the 2019 class. So they'll have to bring in a bunch in 2020, 3 or 4 or 5, just because 1 or 2 of those guys will move to safety maybe. So you'll just bring in as many as you can. I know that they're in on some of the top guys. They've had guys come in, they've had guys visit. So there's, they're going to be, that wide net I talked about, they're going to want a bigger boat for the corners in 2020. Offensive line, they're still going to have to get as many as they can to continue to build that up. And one area to watch out for is quarterback. They've got their 2020 quarterback committed in Jack Miller, but they still don't have as many quarterbacks on scholarship as Ryan Day wants. And if, as quarterbacks do when they don't win a job, if they transfer out, now you're taking another quarterback away from Ohio State. If whoever loses the job maybe wants to leave after the season, then now you're even thinner. And do you want to take a second quarterback? Maybe, but does that upset your current commit at quarterback? Yes. And now you've got to balance all of that. So a lot of fun for Ryan Day and all of his assistant coaches and trying to make these 17-year-olds happy.
And Ohio State fans, don't be alarmed by taking a player from Rutgers. So we know that it was the worst Power 5 team in the nation, but from everything I understand, he was arguably the best offensive lineman in the transfer portal.
Yeah, and he was better than either of Ohio State's 2 guards last year. So he's a rough guy. He's a finisher. He's aggressive. He's what Ohio State needs and what they didn't really have last year. So I think he'll fit in. He can play center as well. Ohio State is replacing all 3 of their interior starters. So wherever his versatility will allow them to put the best 5 together. And if the best 5 is him at center, then that's great. If the best 5 is him at guard, that's great too. And if he isn't good enough to start, now he's a quality sixth man.